And we are finally live. Hey, Mike, how are you? Once again, another week. We're trying to get people together about different topics that affect the international expat community for those who are looking to move abroad. My name is Pablo Arias with International Relocation Partner, and my co host here, Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, Pablo. Yeah, we're going to have a good one today. I'm Mike Kelly with VIP Relocation Tours Panama. And, we help people move to Panama. We do custom private relocation tours. We're also going to be doing group tours across the country. So when you're thinking about moving, there's a lot of stuff that you need to have done ahead of time. You want to come and do an exploratory trip of the country. So you come with us, we take you to see rental properties so you can find the perfect place to live. We take you to visit healthcare professionals. A lot of people come to Panama and they have health issues, and those are issues that you want to have addressed before you move here. So we take you to meet doctors. We meet with health insurance professionals so that you know what all your options are, how much it's going to cost, everything. So they're the most comprehensive relocation tours available right now. And I've been doing these private tours for the last about 4 years. I've been all over Panama. I know the country well. And we are just very happy to be able to help people. I've lived in Panama for about 11 years. So I'm originally from California, but I've lived in Panama City for 11 years. My wife is Panamanian, and my kids were born in Panama. Panama's an amazing country. I can tell you that firsthand. The quality of life here is like unbelievable.
But
And
no better than Costa Rica.
yeah, no, but that kind of moves into our topic today. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about the difference between Panama and Costa Rica. So I was just trying to kind of move into it. I'm on Team Panama. Obviously, you're Costa Rica. So let's see how the.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm Team Costa Rica, I'm Team Panama. As you remember, or our audience remember, my business is shipping. So I help families move abroad, move to Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Spain, and Portugal. Those are my 5 top destinations. And we use those destinations because we have tracked for years the exodus of people, Americans and Canadians, that are moving abroad for whatever reason. They are either retiring, they're either looking for another place to invest, they want to diversify, they want to have a second passport for many different reasons. But Panama and Costa Rica, they have been on the radar for many, many years. This is therefore, I'm not in one thing or another. I'm a Costa Rican and I spend 50% of my time in Panama. Like I have an apartment in Panama City. Today I'm in Costa Rica, but it just happened that, but I wanna have. First, I don't want these things to sound like a commercial. We do this because I honestly do this because I want you guys to have information and make a good decision. And we have a big audience in Costa Rica. We have a big audience in Panama, and we want you guys to have the best of both worlds, if I'm pronouncing it right. And we just want to touch on some of these topics that we know people really care when they make the decision. I'll say Costa Rica, Panama, and Mexico are going to be on the radar for those who don't want to fly 10 hours, 15 hours to Portugal or Spain. That immediately, if you want to be a little closer, maybe 3 hours away from the States, then you have to pick either Costa Rica, Panama, or Mexico. And on top of that list, you have, Costa Rica being this natural location that is very eco-friendly, very touristy as well, with a lots of different diverse things to do for like sports or for like going to the beach or for like, and all of those things you could do in Panama. So I do see how those 2 destinations for like different activities, surfing and all kind of sports and things to do. Both countries are similar, but just happened that Costa Rica is more touristy. It's been out there for many more years, and it positioned itself as a country as a tourist an eco-friendly destination, very strong. And many of the laws around how the country do things are going to be protecting nature, and that's appealing to a lot of people too. You know,
No, yeah. I mean, I lived in Costa Rica for about a year, so I have a good experience. I loved Costa Rica. It was, before I moved to Panama, that is where I wanted to end up. So it's a beautiful country. Panama and Costa Rica are both beautiful. They both have a lot of the same, things as far as like the natural beauty, tropical environment, the beaches, which are, both countries have beautiful beaches. So there's a lot of overlap, so a lot of the main differences come, and just how, in the culture and different things like healthcare and other topics that we're definitely going to hit in this conversation, but it's an interesting topic because the countries are so close, and, but I think Costa Rica they've built up their reputation as a tourism destination much better than Panama, I think, in general, as far as like the resources that they put in so that everyone knows about Costa Rica as a tourist destination. Like, when you think of going on an all-inclusive beach resort, you're probably going to think Costa Rica before Panama. You know what I mean? So then that'd be interesting. I'd like to hear your feedback on that. Like, how has Costa Rica done that so well?
I'll say Costa Rica has been hitting on tourism for a very, very long time. I remember when I was 9 years old, looking at government sponsored commercials talking about how we should be good to the tourism. We should be good, how to open our arms to the Americans who are coming to do tourism in Costa Rica. And how I remember specifically a little cartoon the government used to play that, little cartoon, a little tico helping an American who got lost or whatever, and that ended up leading into a business opportunity. And this was produced by the government of Costa Rica. So in our heads, I'll say this is very implanted in our heads that we should be open to tourism, open arms to people from abroad. So that kind of like leads into a mentality, that education that leads into a mentality in general.
I'll think maybe one of the things there, Pablo, is like Costa Rica survives from tourism. Panama has the canal, so Panama has, the backbone of Panama really is the Panama Canal, right? So they haven't had to really like focus on tourism like Costa Rica has, who has really been surviving on tourism. And so they have just really put all of their energy into it. They're so nice. I mean, Costa Ricans are like the nicest people, and Panamanians are very nice people too, so it's like Panama could do it, it's just like the resources that aren't being put into it like in Costa Rica. And I think a lot of that has to do with the canal. You know what I mean? Like I've always kind of seen it like that.
It's no need. I mean, the amount of money that Panama makes us as a country through the Panama Canal represents, it's similar to the amount of money that the country of Costa Rica do with tourism. The difference is the money goes to the government, and then the government, do the distribution of the money in 40%. In Panama, it's 40% of that money goes to education and other public services. And of course, when you see Panama City and when you see the infrastructure of Panama, it's a lot. Now let's talk about infrastructure. It's a lot better. You have better infrastructure. You have these big bridges and Balboa Avenue, beautiful park next to the ocean. A lot of these things that Costa Rica don't have, because the money of Costa Rica goes into tourism. So it goes into a lot of the small hotel owners, a lot of the small restaurants. So the money goes directly to, I'll say, the community or the population. It goes directly into the small business owners. Versus Panama, they have the money to make all these investments, having a metro, all those things that the Costa Rica don't have.
Yeah, if you're in Panama right now, driving on the Pan American Highway, like the amount of infrastructure that's going on, like work building overpasses, they're expanding the highway. So that's all the way out towards like basically till you get to Coronado. Just like the amount of movement that's going on is impressive. It's the most in the 11 years that I've lived here that I've seen. And so, that gives you the feeling that the future is bright here in Panama, because there's so many opportunities. The population is growing. More people are moving to Panama. So we have more foreign investment. And so you can see that, finally the government here is like, okay, we got to do something. We got to solve these issues that we've been having, like traffic, gridlock every day, people sitting in their cars for 4 hours or more every day to and from work. Okay, let's solve this problem. Let's help people improve their quality of life so they can actually go home and spend time with their family. And that's one part of it. The other one is, okay, commercially, that's gonna everything west of the canal, that whole area is gonna really blow up. And what I mean is shopping centers are gonna open. Areas like Panama Pacifico, now it's going to be easier access to get there. So everything that they have going on, there more people. So it's going to benefit a lot of people. So the infrastructure here, I mean, Panama City, it's already a big city. People come in, they can't believe it. That they could never imagine Panama City like it is until you come here and you see these skyscrapers and just it's like a modern city, where people in their minds that don't know about Panama are thinking, well, Panama, third world, bad roads, it totally goes against what people think before they get here and really see what it's like,
I would say if you haven't researched Panama, you might just think is Managua, Nicaragua, or is San Jose, Costa Rica, or is
most people don't even know. Most people think it's just a canal and jungle. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it.
You type in Panama City, Panama, you see this small little big city. It's like the small Miami next to the ocean. A lot of things to do. Options for restaurants are endless, from Chinese, Asian, Italian, any I went the other day. A guy who owns a coffee shop. His guy is Russian, and he runs the best coffee shop that I made in Panama. So Panama has got a lot of things to offer, and they keep on investing in the infrastructure. If you think about it, that could be, it's good for your investment to be making your investment in a country who is developing, investing more in infrastructure. Now, I do realize, because I have talked. I mean, we talked to a lot of people who are moving, to both countries. I do realize what the desire of somebody who is looking to move to Costa Rica is not the desire for somebody who's looking to move to Panama City or to Coronado. It's a different type of person. It's a different type of mentality. Let me just give you a big example. A lot of people that I moved to Costa Rica, they end up choosing, they want to live in the forest. They want to live an hour away or 2 hours away from the city, to maybe in a small town like in Panama would be Pedasi, beach town, but it's a small little Playa Venado. It's very small. So that's what they're looking for in Costa Rica. They're not looking to be in a big city. They may not even care about having 100 options for dining. They want to connect with nature. They want to change from the fast-paced lifestyle of California to a small little town, perhaps Playa del Coco, Tamarindo. Even though those are touristy locations, they want to be more connected with earth, do yoga, do surfing, do scuba diving. It's kind of like a different type of what people look for Panama. They're looking for, they want to maybe a slower pace of life, but they still want to have all the conveniences of dining options, good banking, good services. So that's kind of it's like the same customer, but it's kind of different.
Well, it's, Panama is, it's got the best of everything. Usually or before, previous years, people would want, we're moving to Boquete and Coronado. That was pretty much it. But there's been this new interest in Panama City, because Panama City, it turns out, is pretty amazing. It's got it's the cultural hub of Panama. That's where you go to meet, Panamanians and learn Spanish. That's not, it's a place where, you don't just go and you feel like you're in just a retirement community in another country. So Panama City is really starting to like, become more noticed, and people realize, wow, you got everything. Old Town Casco Viejo, which is like, the old colonial part of the city that people say is like a much cleaner version of like New Orleans. It's like they just looks like New Orleans, but clean streets and beautiful. And then Miami, like the downtown area. So, it's Panama City's changing a lot in those respects. Where San Jose is probably a little bit different than Panama City.
Well, San Jose is a smaller city. Most people who live around San Jose is because of work, job, governments, and also a lot of the free zones are going to be within the San Jose, the metropolitan area, and the two kind of like main best quality job opportunities initially was tourism, and in the last few years, the free zones and customer service positions with English support to American companies is like the second biggest source of income for Costa Rica. Trying to find decent jobs, a little bit better paying jobs, tourism or customer support, and that's what makes kind of like the San Jose. You still find, if you know how to move around and where to look for, you still find pretty good options for fine dining, but it's different. Like Panama, it's all really put together. You have the ocean views and also all of these different choices. Now, somebody Grant here is bringing a point. It's kind of like a big text here, but I'm not going to read everything. But well, yeah, Costa Rica is bureaucratic. But he is bringing an interesting point here. One is the bureaucracy. I will say the two countries are bureaucratic, in different areas. So just alone bureaucracy, I think Costa Rica, it's just my personal perspective, I don't know, could be more bureaucratic than Panama. It's just the way things are set up.
This is a really good question right here. It brings up like quite a few points.
Yeah.
Like one, the dollar. So in Panama we use a dollar, so it's super convenient.
Yep.
The colon is it's getting killed right now, is what it looks like. So
It's actually the opposite. It's the opposite. The Costa Rican colon is going up in value for many different reasons, international reasons. Whatever has happening in Ukraine, the American economy, for
Okay.
whatever reasons, the Costa Rican colon is going up in value.
Okay.
Now the government is doing a good job attracting investments, doing things right, getting the right financial things right, getting the laws in Costa Rica to align with the international rules, so we can get more credit as a country.
That's
That
good. It's good.
that creates that the Costa Rican colon goes up in value. So that means that the US dollar goes down in value. So what Grant is telling here, what you used to buy a year ago, you're losing because the Costa Rican colon is 35%, more expensive now.
Gosh.
So it means that a lot of tourism may not want to do business in Costa Rica because it's just now 35% more. And in Panama, you don't see this effect
Yeah.
because this dollar, it's a dollar. The dollar is a dollar, and it just doesn't. You don't see that effect that
Yeah,
much.
that's I didn't know that was happening. But that's very interesting.
It's good for the country, though. It's good in general. It's good for the country. It's bad for my business because we charge everything in US dollars. But
Well, talking from the perspective of like, relocating and expats, the fact that Panama has a dollar makes it convenient because you're just, it carries over. And then with the whole immigration process, it's relatively easy here. They've made some recent changes, and here I mean Panama. They've made some recent changes that have made it a little bit harder for some people. The retirement visa is very easy and inexpensive. So if you qualify for that, it's an easy road to residency here in Panama. And then they recently changed like the friendly nations so that you have to invest a certain amount, which is, in a lot of ways, it's a good thing. And, it hasn't really slowed too much down the amount of people that have been coming in and getting their visas. But, it's, it forces a lot of people to kind of have more skin in the game. Like in order to get your residency, you are having to invest in the country, and that's a good thing for Panama. Although definitely the number of visas that they've been issuing has gone down, of course, but you might even say like the quality of like the visas are has gone up, right? These are people that can invest, that are contributing to the economy in a bigger way, so that's good.
Yeah, if I have to say what's easiest, if you want to do get your residency in Costa Rica or get your residency in Panama, kind of like the cost of entry is similar. It's $150,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like $150,000 investment.
200,000 for the friendly nations.
Okay, 200,000. So
and then there's a investor visa, which is 300, which is more of like a fast track, but it's about the friendly nations is 2.
So it's the cost of entry as an investor. That doesn't mean that you're paying that to the country. It means that you have to do an investment.
Yeah.
In Panama, it's a little bit more expensive. Costa Rica made it a little bit easier when they changed the law to 150 as an investor. Nevertheless, we believe what Mike is saying, or we believe this is good. This is good. We don't want to have, we want good quality people to move to our country who are coming to do investments, who are coming to, to do good to the country. That's what we want. And if you're moving into Costa Rica, you're moving into Panama, you want a country that has a filter. Because if you don't have a filter, then you end up having, giving access to all kinds of people, drug dealers, or people who may have issues with the law in their own country. And I've seen this happen. I've seen people looking to move to Costa Rica, and I'm moving their shipment. There is a container, it's on their water, and they call me, no, I'm sorry, I cannot move to Costa Rica because the government of Costa Rica did not allow me to become a resident. And then I start digging why. It's because I used to do some stuff back in Canada with drugs and this and that. It's like, what the heck? Of course, I don't want you to be in my country because you're a drug dealer in Costa Rica. What good is that going to be?
Yeah, that's a big block too. If you have anything on your record here, it definitely slows down, if not halts the process. So yeah, it's a filtering process. So we're getting, the quality of people that are coming here and becoming residents of Panama is improving, so that's good for everybody. So yeah, it's, immigration is one of those things. And, I think that's why Panama's always up there on the list, places.
Let me say, after you pay the cost of entry of your proof that you qualify, Panama is easier. So Costa Rica may have a little lower, screening because the amount is less, whatever. But once you have all your documents ready, that's easy. It becomes easier because the process is a little bit more, it's faster. It's just easier. We help people. We have a program where we can get documents, and this is not from a shipping company. This is a separate business entity. It's called International Documents. So you need the FBI record or the Canada Police Mountain, thing to qualify either for the Panama or the Costa Rica residency. With this, researching this business, getting after this business, I do realize that the Panama requirements for the U.S. citizens is easier. It's easier. Just getting those documents, getting your file together in Panama is easier. Once you meet that 200,000 or 300,000 investment, either friendly visa or investor visa. Yeah. Costa Rica, less expensive, but the process is way more bureaucratic. You really have to have a good immigration attorney. If you guys need a good contact, I'm happy to share. I work with a lot of immigration attorneys in Costa Rica. I'm sure Mike does the same in Panama.
Yeah.
Let's talk about health.
Yeah. Healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare, for sure.
You have a lot to say.
Hey, thanks for the question there, Grant. That brought up some interesting topics, but healthcare. Let's get into healthcare. So Panama has great healthcare, and that's I've been in healthcare for 10 years here in Panama, and I've seen the differences firsthand. You got cost, so you have much lower cost for healthcare. Where you can go into a clinic and a private clinic and spend no more than $30 to sit with a general care practitioner, where in the United States that's going to cost you like $500. The insurance is much more. It's much easier. The insurance can be complicated getting insurance, but the whole, it's not as complicated as insurance in the United States. Great doctors. We work with English-speaking doctors. So during the relocation process, we have a team of English-speaking doctors, which is common here to have doctors that speak perfect English. So that's a good thing. But overall, healthcare is really good. That's the overall consensus of people that move here, is that your general healthcare is very good. You've got, your prices are extremely reasonable. You've got great specialists and some of the best hospitals in Latin America, like the John Hopkins Pacifica Salud. There's a Cleveland Clinic affiliated hospital in the city. So like in Panama City is like the group together all like some of the best hospitals in Latin America. So that's one of the main reasons why people move here, is for the healthcare. Dental. You can come down here and get a dental procedure and spend a week at a nice hotel for the same price that you would pay just for the procedure in the United States, or less. I mean, things like that, like medical tourism, that's kind of how these things start. So it's overall great. I'd love to hear your feedback on healthcare in Costa Rica, because it's, if there are any parallels there.
Yeah, well, I'll say, and then you're just talking about the private sector.
That brings up a good point. There's private and public. So you do have a public sector. So it's important to keep that in mind, because you can use the public facility as a expat. You can go to the public hospitals and they will take care of you. You can pay next to nothing, but there's a trade-off there. One, the facilities are run down because, frankly, the funding has been, very poor for the public hospitals and clinics. So the facilities are run down. And so you have old equipment, crowds, so these are the clinics and hospitals that are serving the general population. So they're usually full. So if it's an emergency and you need to get in, you're going to have some issues. And it's, the doctors are good. I mean, you have a lot of the same doctors, but those are the main concerns. So, it's important, if you're an expat in Panama, that you have access to the public health system. The private healthcare. Either with insurance or have money set aside to pay for private health, because if you need it, that's, it's just better care overall. And another issue with public is that it's paid for by, through the Social Security system of Panama. So when you have a job, you're in a payroll, you have a certain amount of Social Security tax that's deducted from your paycheck. That pays for public health care. So, what most people don't understand is like expats aren't necessarily paying into that. So we need to be careful that that's not something that's abused, right? Like coming down here and not paying into the system, but using it. It's convenient, but there are a lot of the people that are paying into it, which are Panamanians mostly. They're the ones that are really need to use the public system. So, those are things that we need to be conscious about. Not really, no one really talks about that, but that is an issue. And I think it's going to come to the forefront in the next couple of years because so many people are moving here.
Yeah, I'll say, on the Costa Rican side, and this is why I wanted to make the difference. On the private sector, both countries are going to have a lot lower cost of health. Just what costs you $10,000 in the States could cost you $2,000 in Costa Rica or in Panama. It could be, dental, or it could be, beauty, whatever beauty, how do you say, Botox or these things, girls do that. It could be many things. It is like a lot less expensive. And this is why there is an industry for health tourism. There is an industry for people and either companies that specializes, at least in Costa Rica, they specializes on putting your package together. They fly you to Costa Rica, they find like a hotel, and then you do everything they do. They give you a new set of, give you a new mouth, dental tourism.
That's all medical tourism. You travel to countries like Costa Rica and Panama, Colombia, you get these procedures, you stay at a hotel, it's a whole vacation, and it's costing you much less than to just have it done in the United States. It's amazing.
But that's not for the average. That's not for the average. So the average expat is gonna come. They're gonna if you have the income, you could do private and find good doctors in both countries. You can go to Mike, and he will connect you with the doctors and every resource that you may need for your health. Or help you with the insurance. In Costa Rica, it's like that. You find a lot of the doctors are going to be bilingual. That's it. It's just the education system in Costa Rica is very strong. The medical system, it's also one of the things that Costa Ricans are very proud of and have a very good reputation. In general, the private is going to be pretty good. What's interesting is a lot of the doctors that work on the private sector are the doctors that work on the public sector.
Same in Panama.
Yeah, it's similar. The way education is designed is that the doctor has to do X amount of time or years in Costa Rica, service in the public sector, and they get paid very well for the average Costa Rican salary. So it's good for the doctor to work on the public sector.
Yeah, Panamanians do their residency in public hospitals and clinics, and so when you go into the public hospitals, you are actually, being attended by doctors in training. Of course, they're being supervised by experienced doctors, surgeons and medical specialists with many years of experience are also spending time in the public sector. So they divide their time between the public and the private. So it's not like you go to a public hospital and you're going to be operated on by just a brand new surgeon. You're going to, just like Costa Rica, the same doctors are working in both. But you do have, that is where young doctors are training and new doctors are training. So, it's a good thing, and, it's just important that, as far as convenience and quality of care. Another issue that I wanted to bring up is even in the private health sector, while the doctors speak English, their assistants, nurses usually don't. They only speak Spanish. And that's one of the things that we do. The expat health services is that we kind of facilitate that. So it's, instead of struggling to set an appointment, we help you with that. So we kind of just, get in the middle, we'll set your appointment, make sure that there aren't any language barriers there so that you can get into your doctor who's going to speak English.
I have to say something. The public sector in Costa Rica, it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, it's still not a 5-star hotel. I've been in both private hospitals, public hospitals. I have my babies in private. I have 2 kids in private hospitals. The night could be about $1,500 a night just to stay one night in a private hospital. I don't know how much is that going to run me in Texas or in California. Maybe $5,000. Who knows?
Wait, how much? $1,500 a night? And
$1,500 to be in a private hospital for the night of when I have my kids. For labor and all that. So
it's actually less in Panama generally, and you can't totally bash the public system here. It's not like. It can be good. Some people have a great experience. It's not like it's terrible. It's just underfunded. So when you have a government institution that's underfunded, then there are going to be some serious problems. But that's not to say that if you're in a pinch and you need to get something that's urgent and you end up in a public hospital and it actually gets you in, then, it'll be enough, but like I said, if you live here in Panama, it's important that you have some way to ensure that if you need medical attention, that you can use the private sector. That would be my best recommendation.
So the public in Costa Rica is actually, the infrastructure is very decent. And even if you are hours away in, I don't know, maybe Talamanca or, really far away from a main city, we have a system of small clinics. It's usually pretty good for emergencies. I'm saying this because I've traveled. Like I travel, we have a little office in Nicaragua. I travel to Mexico very often. Like I've seen what's in Latin America, what's available in Latin America. What I've seen is Costa Rica has a pretty decent public healthcare. So if you live in a really far little town, this location in Costa Rica, you may find a clinic if you need something, not too
Yeah.
far from you. You always have a small little clinic, a small little school, and a church in almost every little town in Costa Rica. And when you are in El Salvador or you are in Nicaragua, if you're a little far away from a main town, you may not get any decent attention or health service, which it could be a big issue. So Costa Rica, good service. I mean, a lot of people from Nicaragua come to Costa Rica just to have a baby here because it's free. So you can come and to have your baby here, and it won't cost you anything. As part of, if it was born in Costa Rica, the government will take care of that. Things of that nature, kind of like. But I would say on the private side, Panama and Costa Rica may be similar. Maybe similar. First world. It will be like first world attention. But in general, Costa Rican doctors or Panamanian doctors are more friendly. That's just like a lot of my customers are telling me this. Like I went to, like I had this when I did it in Costa Rica. They spend more time with you. They listen to me. It's not just like back in the States. It's just like another transaction. What is it that you have? They touch you over here. Like here is take these pills and then go to the next one. It's kind of like the mentality that I see in the U.S. for health. It's more like an industry.
In the U.S., you're a number. They just
Another number.
In and out. You have to see a certain amount of patients a day if you're a doctor for your insurance company. It's that's one of the biggest things I hear too. I mean, Americans that move down here, they just can't believe the level of like personalized care. Like a doctor that sits there and looks them in the eyes and like asks them questions to get to know them. Like that whole thing is it's missing for the most part from the United States here. And that's one of the things that really blows people away. They just can't believe that. So, that's good. And I hope that it stays that way, and I think like insurance company intervention could affect that, but I don't see that happening. So yeah, it's a great experience. And, probably the same in Costa Rica. That level of attention is pretty great.
Now that leads us into our last kind of topic, which is customer service. And for customer service, I want to let you introduce this customer service. How do you think Panama still has challenges in general with customer service?
Yeah, it's. Unfortunately, customer service is an issue here, where it can be hard. There's generally most people the reputation is like generally customer service is pretty bad. Just day-to-day things. And it's again we go back to Costa Rica being developed as a tourist country. So people are trained, customer service is more like something that's really pushed and trained. Like people are trained for that. Or in Panama, that hasn't really happened. So, a lot of people say, oh yeah, the customer service is terrible. And, it's, I don't know if it's so much worse than other countries, but it could definitely be better in a lot of places.
Yeah. I've been doing business and traveling to Panama. I mean, I'm a Costa Rica, but we do business in the two countries for about almost 8 years. 8 years servicing international moving services in Panama, Costa Rica, other countries, Nicaragua, and so on. And in my personal experience, Panama has been improving year after year. There's more like companies in general. The private sector is investing in more. Training to the Panamanian, investing on especially the service. I mean, the hotel and tourism industry. They have been investing, and I have noticed how this has improved year after year. But in general, you will get better customer service out of the Costa Rican just because it's kind of like in the back of their head. This is just the normal.
I think it's more just like it's stressed more. And yeah, you're right. It is getting better. Another thing in Panama, a lot of multinational companies are opening here, so you've got these big global companies. And so they're actually really they're doing a good job of training, because, the American standard and, European too, where they're just like more, it's, no, I don't want to say cutthroat, but they're just like, it has to be this way, like has to be this way. You have to do it that way. And, quality standards are high. And so that's carrying over, which is a good thing. And so, Panamanian employees are getting trained. And, it's something it's a good thing, but you're right. It is definitely improving. It's getting better.
And I would say something else. This could be, this could be also a perception of the cultural differences. Because we are guilty. We should be guilty. We are guilty of going into a new culture and expecting things are going to be my way.
Yeah.
This goes for every expat, that goes to every country. So in my particular case is that I'm a people's person. Like I could go to like whatever, and would probably connect with people and make friends. So when I first start going to Panama in my business trips, I learned how to connect with the Panamanian. And I always say this as a joke. I will say hi 3 times. I don't expect people to be friendly with me without without doing anything. And a lot of people, you're buying a product, you're getting a hotel, you immediately are thinking, well, I'm paying for this, then I should be treated super special, right? And that's fine. That's fine. It's kind of like, but my approach is a little bit different. Is I'm paying for this, but I'm making friends. So I go like, hey, I have a reservation. It's like, hey, I have a reservation. Hey, how are you? Beautiful day, ain't it? Da, 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 da. Or oh, it's raining. Oh, and then they say, hey, you're not from here, right? That's their expressions. Like, you're not from here. Where are you from?
I think we got to look at it 2 ways too, Pablo. Like, we can't. It's you have Americans that come down here with expectations that are just, they want everything to be like the United States, which is not. That's a mistake. You can't come down here and just force your way on people. So let's make that clear, right? Certain things that happen here, like, you get into an elevator here and the Panamanians will greet you when you get in and they say bye to you when you get out. In the United States, no one's talking to anyone on the elevator. You want to get in and out. You don't want to talk to anybody. Like little differences like that and like cultural things, where people are much friendlier here in Panama than they are walking around the street in the United States. So it's in another cultural difference. You're like, okay, so, in the United States, if you show up on time to a meeting, you're late. You show up, you should be there 15 minutes early at least, and here, it's common to be late to a meeting, and then in the beginning of the meeting, you're going to small talk for a while before you start talking about what you're actually there to meet about. The business at hand comes later. So it's this much more personal, friendly thing. They're not so concerned about, okay, be at the meeting on time, get to business and get out. It's relax, show up, get to know each other, talk about life. How are the kids? Oh, yeah, we were here to talk about business. Let's talk about that. So these are cultural differences, so, it's all, we say, oh, customer service is not that good, but I mean, okay, but people are friendlier in general, and so it's like, it just depends, but again, if you're American, just don't come here locked into how things are back home. You have to adapt to the culture.
So the cultural shock and the cultural differences are going to be part of this. So one thing is perception, and one thing is maybe the Panamanian is less customer service oriented, but that's okay. I'm telling you, the solution is you be friendlier. If you're friendlier, then you're gonna make lots of friends. And once you connect with the Panamanian, you find very funny. They have this very funny way of seeing life. Very happy, love party, love enjoying life. Which Costa Rica is as well a very friendly and happy culture. One of the happiest countries in the world. So
for sure. I mean, Panamanians are generally warmer and friendlier than Americans. That's for sure. Like, it's much easier to connect and talk and get to know Panamanians. They're just friendly, and that's just the culture. That's it. I mean, So, and that's why people love it here. You talk to most people that live here, the majority are going to say like, hey, Panamanians are like the greatest people ever, and it's the same in Costa Rica. I lived in Costa Rica for a year with a family, okay, with a Costa Rican family I was with for 3 months. I went a long time ago. It was like a semester abroad in college. I lived with a family, and to this day, they're like my second family. I talk to them all the time. They were the nicest people in the world. So it's that culture spreads. It's Panamanian, it's Costa Rican, it's in many ways like a Latino part of the culture. You know what I mean?
Amazing. Our time is up. We just want to remind you a little bit of what we're doing here. We're trying to do a weekly, discussion about different topics. This is a weekly podcast, a weekly, interview. Mike Kelly in Panama, he owns and operates a relocation tour service. It has a big focus on health. He's been in the health industry for like many years. And I own a shipping company, international shipping company. And I work with many expat leaders in Costa Rica, providing insight and information. My company, the only thing we do is shipping, but I do realize a long time ago that I can help in other ways, not just with the shipping, but just providing good insight information. So I'm happy to be here. And this is an initiative that is starting to develop. I have a book coming in the next few months, and we have this podcast. We're working on the expert groups in different expert groups, just providing insight. We just want to have an expat community. And we recently, not too long ago, we did a 4th of July activity that's in Costa Rica and also in Panama with Mike in Panama. We did this together at his family's property.
It was amazing, except for the thunderstorm.
But the point here is, Mike, we're trying to connect with people way beyond our services. And if we do it, we'll help people. We show them the way. I feel good about it. And I just feel really bad when I have somebody call me and say, hey, Pablo, can you move me back because somebody scammed me, somebody sold me this property, this happened and that happened. I mean, I take the business, ship your stuff back to Canada if you want me to. But that's not the point. I know I'm helping families with their dream, and that fills my heart, helping them with their dream. So this is what we're doing here.
Yep.
So let's wrap this up. Thank you so much, Mike. See you until the next one. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Good talking to you. All right.